Hello, everybody. My name is Dean McNeill. I'm head of the music department at the University of Saskatchewan, and I'm joined today for our Faculty and Friends concert by my good friend, Richard Carnegie. Richard and I have played together a lot in a variety of capacities over the years. Richard is the principal bassist in the Saskatoon Symphony Orchestra, and he also conducts the Saskatoon Youth Orchestra. And Richard, do you want to tell everyone listening today a little bit about the first piece that we just played?
Yes, that was the first of the Bach two-part keyboard inventions. It's part of a collection that he originally wrote for his son, Wilhelm Friedrich Bach, and they were meant as a sort of a starting point, a tutelage in playing contrapuntal keyboard works. And the reason Dean and I started playing this is Dean and I are friends, we want to make music together, and a while ago we ended up Googling double bass and trumpet duets, and we pretty much came back with nothing, so we realized that we were going to have to go to the route of transcription, and hopefully down the road we want to work with a composer to expand the repertoire for instruments. And this seemed like a perfect place to start the exploration. It's a two-part piece. Basically, Dean is playing the right hand, I am playing the left hand, and we've been experimenting a little bit. You're gonna hear more of these keyboard inventions. We're a little bit further apart in octaves than it would normally be. We want to stay within the comfortable range within our instruments to really let the counterpoint speak. So I'm 2 octaves away from Dean, an octave further than we would normally be, but something that we were doing in transcription was playing around with that, sometimes shortening the distance of the octaves. But this was a great way to sort of start our exploration of combining these instruments that aren't always combined.
Yeah, that's right. And usually we have a lot of people in between us, right? As the soprano and bass voice, we've got altos and tenors and people playing all kinds of things. And to play some music where everything is stripped away, where you feel quite exposed when you're just playing with a two-part counterpoint and instruments. Like, I know that you can play chords on the bass, but basically both instruments are homophonic for most of the time, right?
Exactly.
Why don't we continue on and play a few more of these two-part inventions, and then we'll come back.
Sounds good. Elephant in the room. This is a COVID concert, my mask being the first giveaway. COVID has, of course, been very limiting for so many music making ensembles.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly lucky, Dean and I both, to still be able to continue to perform with the Saskatoon Symphony. They've had to adapt for a smaller ensemble setting,
And they've
and
been doing a terrific job. I have to say, it's unbelievable.
a real leader in the music community in Canada in that respect right now. A small ensemble on concert like this, a duo, just seemed like a natural fit
Yeah,
for our times and still wanting to push ourselves as musicians.
that's right. And like really, this project came out of COVID, right? When we're talking to each other, and a point when we made before the interview is like, chamber music often comes about through people who enjoy each other's company wanting to make some music together, right? So Richard and I want to make some music together with this opportunity through faculty and friends. And we started exploring some repertoire. One of the things that we can do, of course, is play solo unaccompanied music and still have a very potent musical experience for music written specifically for solo instruments. So we wanted to include some of that in our concert today. I'm going to be playing a piece called Fantasy by Malcolm Arnold in a minute. And then after that, Richard, you're going to play a piece for solo bass. So you can tell us about that a little bit.
Yes, this is the two movements from the Suite in the Olden Style by Hans Friebe. Friebe himself was a bass player, and it's basically in the style of a Bach cello suite. So often, as bass players, we're trying to play a transcription of Bach, and we're trying to, in our head, imagine being a cello. And here we just get to imagine being a bass player.
Yeah, these pieces were written for these instruments specifically, as opposed to being transcriptions. All right, well, without further ado, here we go. Thank you, Richard. That sounded terrific. What a pleasure to hear you play and to do this project with you. So the next couple of pieces that we're going to play, one is a transcription, one's an original piece. The first piece that we're going to play is entitled Oblivion. It was composed and arranged by Astor Piazzolla. He's known as the father of the Argentinian tango. And 2021 marks the 100th anniversary of his birth, so it seemed very appropriate to play a piece by him. He was also known for creating or kind of converting the traditional Argentinian tango into a more modern type of tango called Novu tango. And when he was doing this, he was incorporating, because he was also a band leader, jazz elements and classical music elements into this traditional folk music of Argentina. So it's a beautiful piece of music. The first time we got to play it together, it was when we were doing that fundraiser for the Saskatoon Youth Orchestra, and it seemed to be such a great piece to lead off with this duo project that that we thought we'd present it again. And then we're going to play a piece of music that we have absconded with. It was originally written for tuba and French horn, and it was written by a Canadian composer, right? And you want to talk to us a little bit about him?
Yeah, Alan Gilland. He's a fantastic composer. My first introduction actually to his music was a number of years ago, Dean, when one of your students won the Saskatoon Youth Orchestra concerto competition.
Oh,
Silas
yeah.
Pearson. He was playing Alan Gilland's concerto. I'm like, this is a fantastic piece of music. So when you mentioned that he'd written something that we could steal and adapt for our instruments, I was all about doing it. And I think we were talking about wanting to commission and find music written for our ensemble, and I would love to work with you and Alan to
Yeah,
get something by
let's
him.
do it. Well, maybe the next time we present one of these concerts, we'll have a very own piece of music of our own from someone like Alan, maybe from Alan
Definitely,
himself.
and maybe I won't be wearing a mask next time.
Well, you might turn them into fashion statements.
Okay, yeah. It could
So
work.
here we go. Astro Piazzolla's Oblivion, followed by Alan Gilliland's Dance Bus. right, well, it looks like we've almost come to the end of our hour here. I want to thank everybody for coming, and thank you, Richard, for taking time out of your busy schedule to work on this duo project with me. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I think it really speaks to issues of developing and maintaining resiliency in human beings by not only listening to quality music, but getting a chance to play it. And when you can play quality music with good friends and good musicians, it's really special. So thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy right now. We're going to play one more tune. It's entitled Wave. It was written by Antonio Carlos Jobim, the kind of forefather of the bossa nova movement. He's one of my favorite composers in jazz, and it's just a beautiful tune. And we started off this concert talking about the importance of two-part counterpoint. And to me, any great tune and any great style works if the outer two voices are having an interesting interplay between them. So I hope people will hear that here, and there's a little bit of improvisation in there, which will be fun too. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Richard, and here we go.